Like we told you, Jiang Zemin presided over China's economic boom. The sitting president of China is doing just the opposite. Xi Jinping is hammering the Chinese economy with his zero-COVID policies and his predatory practices vis-a-vis business leaders. Earlier today, a report said Jack Ma is hiding out in Japan. Now, most of you have heard about Jack Ma. He is the co-founder of the Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba. Not so long ago, Jack Ma was China's richest man. He was also the country's poster boy. This was before Xi Jinping decided to go after Ma, stop his company's IPO and dictate how Jack Ma should run his business. Today, Jack Ma is reportedly living in Japan. He's been in Tokyo for about 6 months. This isn't a leisure trip, more like an exile of sorts. Reports say that Jack Ma has been going to Japan's hot springs with his family, also frequenting the ski resorts and making regular trips to the United States and Israel. But why is Jack Ma not visiting his home country? He has a home in Hangzhou. It is a city near Shanghai where Alibaba is headquartered. Instead, he is living in Japan. Has it got anything to do with China's travel restrictions? Or is there more? You see, it's a long story. We will start by telling you a little bit about Jack Ma. In China, he's bigger than life. Jack Ma has a career in films. He made an acting debut in 2017 by playing an invincible kung fu fighter. Jack Ma has sung on stage, danced in front of huge crowds. He writes kung fu fiction, practices Tai Chi, teams up with Jet Li. Jack Ma also plays poker. He paints. His works are auctioned at Sotheby's. Jack Ma has his employees do headstands and handstands at work. He was on the board of SoftBank. He's on the board of the Nature Conservancy too. He speaks fluent English. In short, Jack Ma is a superhero in China. They call him Daddy Ma. Outside the country, he is China's poster boy. Jack Ma was the first prominent Chinese man whom Trump met after he won the US presidential election in 2016. How do you think Xi Jinping views all of this? The Chinese president likes to be the be-all and end-all of China. A personality as towering as Jack Ma's threatens that. It becomes all the more dangerous when the people's favorite entrepreneur begins to question Xi Jinping's policies. And that's exactly what happened in Shanghai in 2020 when Jack Ma questioned Xi's policies, his regulations. Jack Ma earlier said, and I quote, "Great innovation won't back down because of regulations, but it shouldn't be regulated with yesterday's means." And this is when Xi Jinping decided to go after Jack Ma. The Chinese mouthpiece People's Daily issued a headline that read, "There is no so-called Jack Ma era, only Jack Ma in the era." The same article went on to explain, and I quote, "A good seedling can grow into a towering tree only when it meets the suitable soil and climatic conditions." And soon, Jack Ma went missing. He wasn't seen for months following that statement in Shanghai. In February last year, China blocked the IPO of Jack Ma's company. It was supposed to be the world's biggest IPO, worth more than $35 billion. The company we're talking about is called the Ant Group. Had the IPO gone ahead, it would have become the world's most valuable company. Imagine that. It would have put China on the map. But Xi Jinping didn't care. He instead decided to hammer the IPO, killed it at the very last minute. Any guesses why? Because Xi felt threatened not just by Jack Ma, but his businesses. You see, the Ant Group is a financial services company. It began as a mobile payment service called Alipay. It then expanded its services, entered the microloans business, gave out loans worth millions, benefited over 1 billion people. The group then entered the investment business. It became like a bank that millions could carry in their pockets. The company became all too powerful, so the government decided to hammer it. And in the process, he also hammered China's economy. I'll explain. Xi Jinping wanted to make China a global superpower through technology. Jack Ma was supposed to be his foot soldier in that plan. An entrepreneur who understood technology, who could appear alongside top Chinese leaders and at the same time connect with a global audience. Jack Ma was doing all of that and doing it too well, it seems. Just that his growing popularity was too much for Xi to absorb. He decided to go after the very face of China's success story, and this is just one example of China's assault on business leaders. You see, decades of growth following Tiananmen had transformed China into the world's factory. Xi was entrusted with taking the Chinese economy to the next stage, make it a global leader. Technology was China's best bet, and China already had the lead there. But Xi Jinping chose to place hurdles on China's path. He tightened his control over internet giants. Apart from the Alibaba Group, he also went after social media operator Tencent. Again, because the company looked all too powerful for Xi's liking. Alibaba and Tencent have been asked to invest in developing processor chips and other technologies that Xi considers as priorities. The president's approach has been heavy-handed, and it is being seen as threatening innovation and economic growth. Then we have Xi's zero-COVID policy. It has been disastrous for global supply chains. Companies have had to look outside China. Apple, for example, had to move its iPad production to Vietnam. The factories that drove China's growth have now become hubs for protests. We have been telling you what's happening in China's iPhone city, where factory workers have been going on a rampage. The result? Apple is set to lose 6 million iPhone Pros, all because Xi Jinping has refused to live with COVID. What's more, economists are forecasting an annual growth of just 3% for China. This is well below previous estimates. In fact, according to one estimate, in 2021, China's economy valued at 114 trillion yuan, that's around $16 trillion. But this year, in 2022, it has apparently shed 3 trillion yuan, only because of its zero-COVID policy. Because Xi Jinping just wouldn't open up China. See what I mean when I say Xi Jinping is doing just the opposite of Jiang Zemin. Instead of leading an economic boom, Xi Jinping is killing China's economy. Jiang opened China to the world. Xi is closing it. The question is, who will reform China from Xi's dictatorship?
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.